I ultimately saw my friend utterly dismantle an arrogant bully's life, stripping him of his lucrative business, his fancy car, and even his wife. And it all started with a single, furious phone call he should never have made. This story comes from my friend, Chloe. And it was a slow burn revenge that took nearly 5 years to reach its explosive conclusion. Before we dive in, you need to understand the setup. Chloe works for a major insurance company, and one of their biggest clients is a massive, nationwide delivery company. Specifically, Chloe's company insures their entire fleet of delivery trucks. Over her years there, she'd heard it all. She'd dealt with angry callers, people justifiably upset, and people who were just letting off steam at an anonymous voice. She learned long ago not to take it personally. But one man, the owner of a particular franchise depot, was different. She absolutely despised him. His name was Alistair. Our story begins back in 2016. Alistair is the franchisee of a vehicle depot for the delivery company. Now, this meant he was a business owner of sorts. But he was still under the thumb of the parent corporation. As many of you familiar with franchising know, if you don't meet the stringent requirements of your franchise contract, the parent company can revoke your right to operate under their name. You're essentially paying for the privilege of being a high-stakes employee with no guaranteed salary. Alistair, however, acted like he was king of the world. He called in for the first time to speak with Chloe about a claim for one of his drivers. It was a minor incident. The driver had reversed into a low wall, causing minimal damage. It was a standard, everyday claim. But when Chloe informed him about the standard excess payment required, Alistair exploded. He started ranting and screaming, questioning how she could dare expect him or his driver to pay for anything. Chloe, a seasoned professional, handled it with her usual calm demeanor. But it was a sign of things to come. Alistair had no idea that the anonymous voice on the phone belonged to the one person who would meticulously document his every transgression, patiently waiting for the perfect moment to burn his world to the ground. For 2 solid years, this was the pattern. Alistair would call about a claim and proceed to bully and abuse whichever call handler had the misfortune of answering. He brought multiple employees to tears. But because he was the designated contact for his franchise's claims, they had to keep taking his calls. Then, in 2018, Alistair's stupidity escalated from verbal to criminal. One of his drivers was in a serious accident. Thankfully, no one was badly hurt. But the delivery van was a wreck. While it was being repaired, Chloe did her job and arranged for a hire van so his business could continue operating. Alistair went to collect the vehicle, and the hire company asked for a standard £1 payment on a credit or debit card to secure it. This is a common practice in the UK, mainly so the company can charge the card if the vehicle is damaged. But Alistair didn't like being told what to do. He began arguing with the man at the front desk, threatening to just dump the hire van somewhere once he was done with it. When the employee stood his ground, Alistair's temper snapped. He punched the poor man. And just like that, Alistair got himself arrested. This explosive act of violence revealed Alistair's greatest fatal flaw, his unshakable belief that he was above consequences. It was an arrogance that would ultimately seal his fate. Fast forward to a few months ago, during the lockdown. Like many, Chloe and her team were working from home. Alistair called, evidently having a terrible day. His usual tirade about the uselessness of the insurance company quickly devolved into deeply personal and vile insults directed squarely at Chloe. But this time was different. Chloe was also having a bad day. And after years of enduring this man's abuse, she decided that enough was enough. This was the moment. This was when she would finally get her revenge. The first thing she did was request a copy of the call recording. A standard practice for training and complaint resolution. Then, with the audio file saved, she drafted an email and sent it to 3 carefully selected recipients. First, it went to her manager. Her email was simple: due to Alistair's sustained abusive behavior, she was refusing to ever speak to him again. Galvanized by her actions, the rest of the team immediately followed suit. Suddenly, there wasn't a single claims handler in the entire department willing to take his call. Her manager, seeing the united front, promised he would sort something out. Second, she sent the recording to Alistair's direct boss at the delivery company, stating plainly that his behavior was unacceptable and that any future attempts to speak to them in that manner would result in immediate call termination. Third, and this was the masterstroke, she sent the recording to every single CEO and board member of the delivery company she could find. She wanted the entire corporate leadership to know exactly what kind of vile, abusive man was representing their brand. With those 3 clicks of a mouse, Chloe had just set in motion a corporate reckoning. She had lit a fuse. And she knew it was only a matter of time before it reached the powder keg of Alistair's career. Then, she waited. Weeks turned into a month. And then, the call she had been waiting for finally came. It was a high-level representative from the delivery company. He started by offering a profound apology for everything Alistair had put her and her team through. And then, he delivered the best news she had ever heard. Alistair had been stripped of his franchise, his lucrative pay package, his generous annual bonus, his company-funded car, a brand new Mercedes, were all gone. His life as a business owner was over. Now, I know some of you might be skeptical, thinking a parent company can't just demote a franchise owner. And normally you'd be right. But as Chloe later found out, Alistair had started as a regular employee at that depot before buying the franchise. There was a specific clause in his contract that allowed the company to revoke his franchise for bringing the brand into disrepute. And since he was technically a former employee, they gave him his old job back on a probationary basis. He was now a delivery driver. He was earning just over minimum wage, working 60-hour weeks just to try and pay his bills. His reputation completely destroyed within the company. And the final condition? If he failed to meet the standard performance metrics for delivery drivers within the next 3 months, he would be fired for good. When I call him a lowly delivery driver, please know I am not demeaning the hard work these essential people do. That was the exact phrase Alistair himself always used to describe his employees when he would call in to complain. The final nail in his coffin was personal. Chloe later heard through the grapevine that Alistair's wife was divorcing him. When he came home and told her she'd have to get a job or they'd lose their house because of his massive drop in income, she left him. In the end, Alistair's 4 years of relentless bullying cost him his business, his status, his car, and his family. This story is a powerful reminder to never underestimate the person on the other end of the line. Basic respect costs nothing, but a lack of it can cost you everything. So, I have to ask, have you ever witnessed someone get exactly what they deserved for their terrible behavior? Share your story in the comments below.